Hello and welcome to another Tinto Talks, and oh boy, is this a very exciting one. I am very excited, as you may be able to tell. So I open up with this lovely bit of art, as we were well aware that we'll be talking about maritime presence, proximity and control, based on what was at the end of the last Tinto Talks. So let us get into it and see what it is we're actually going to be doing with these systems. So, welcome to the 6th, I can't believe it's been 6 weeks already, talk about the design features of our not yet announced game with the codename Project Caesar. But before jumping in, something fresh out of the oven based on the feedback of last week. That's why they're doing the Tinto Talks, to make Project Caesar your game as much as ours. This is really awesome. This is obviously super good for basically everybody. So what we have here is more estates. We were originally told, when the estates were first shown to us, that there will be a nearly 0% chance that more estates would be added. Lo and behold, another estate has been added. The Dimi estate has been added. I assume this is maybe for the Ottomans or another Turkic Beylik, something. It really isn't relevant which it is, but more estates being added is obviously really, really exciting, and it opens the door for plenty of new estates in the future for a whole host of different things. Incoming Cossack estate, for example. Basically, really happy with this change. So, let us move on to today's Dev Diary goodness. We'll delve into 3 concepts that are rather new to our games, but first we'll talk about locations a little bit more. Not every location on the map is the same, especially not in a game of such scope as Project Caesar. By default, every ownable land location is a rural settlement, but there are 2 upgrades to it that can be done. First, you can find a town in a location, which allows you to increase the population capacity of the location, allows for a completely different set of buildings than a rural settlement. Finally, you can grant city rights to a town, which allows for even further advantages. So, like, this is Imperator. This is Imperator's system. No, it is. It just basically flat and functionally is Imperator's system. We have settlements, we have towns, and we have, well, instead of metropolis, we have city. Not town, it was city in Imperator. But the 3-tiered settlement structure of Imperator is being revived for Project Caesar, and that is amazing because it was a really good system. Get out of the way, Victoria 3, if you want national gardening and, growing a country and making that satisfying, this is it. This is how you do that. Just fantastic. I love the fact that lessons are being learned from Imperator. It's a video I made a long, long while ago, or rather it was a part of a live stream that I turned into a video, where I basically said, I want Johan to make EU5 because he's learned the lessons of Imperator and he, was a part of that development process, so he can take the best bits of Imperator to EU5. Now, I believe it was actually Arheo that came up with this particular system, but Johan was still there overseeing it at that time. This is fantastic. This is so nice. I'm just very, very happy with that. So, why wouldn't you make every location into a city? Besides the cost and population requirement, there's now the drawback that each of them tend to reduce your food production while adding more nobles, clergy, and burghers to your country. Reduce the food production, which we know the peasants are responsible for. Where have we seen that one? Is that also just an Imperator feature? This is great. This is fantastic. I do notice, though, that nothing has been said about trade goods. So is, wheat gonna be a trade good, and it can only be grown in, the settlement, rural settlement tier, and gets replaced if you move into a city tier? Maybe not. Maybe we're gonna get an entirely new trade system. That could be very exciting indeed. So, Stockholm, Dublin, and Belgrade are examples of towns at the start of the game, while cities include places like Beijing, Alexandria, and Paris. Great, great, just great. Obviously, Constantinople, exceptionally city-like. But yeah, I mean, we could be here all day naming different places that should be this or that or the other, but no, this is really, really good to see. Really good to see. And now here we have this image of Control, which we're going to be getting onto, which is I'm I'm honestly kind of blown away again by this, but let's get into it. Every location that you own has a control value, which is primarily determined by the proximity it has to the capital. Oh my, Mayo and taxes, let's fucking go. Johan previously said on the forums, in last week's Dev Diary, that he had not played Mayo and taxes but for testing purposes. Proximity to the capital is something that Mayo and taxes has. It was called communication efficiency. Basically, the further away your province was to the capital, the lower your communication efficiency and the higher the autonomy, or the autonomy floor, would be. So conquering huge swathes of bumfuck nowhere was not useful to you because you couldn't control it because the communication efficiency was so terrible. And lo and behold, here we go with more communication efficiency, just to call proximity now, and control. I mean, it's the same thing. It's so beautiful. There are only a few things that can increase it above the proximity impact, but many things decrease it further. Or it's another source of authority in the country, naturally. It does seem like a rename for autonomy. Maybe it's not, though. We'll see more about it. This is probably the most important value you have, as it determines how much value you can get out of a location, as it directly impacts how much you can tax the population in the location, and the amount of levies that it will contribute when called. A lack of control reduces the crown power you gain from the population, while also reduces the potential manpower and sailors you can get, and weakens the market attraction of your own markets, making them likelier to belong to foreign markets if they have too low control. What is this? We're talking about markets now? What is this game? We're being hinted at an entirely new trade system. Maybe I'm just extrapolating, like, an entire sequence of fantasy from the word markets here. But let's be very real. That's what it sounds like, no? We're getting some kind of market system where this is the Swedish market and this is, maybe Özel here will be a part of the Swedish market instead of the Livonian Order's market, purely because I've got so much market value and market attraction. That's what it sounds like. I don't know if I'm right. I'm just saying that's what my brain's going to right now. But yeah, you ever want to play Victoria 2.5? I feel like a mod for EU5 might be what you want to do. But it's so good. So here we have the control of Kalmar. It's currently at 56%, changes by a little bit a month, can reach a maximum. So we've got like an equilibrium that is shown. It's quite nice. It has effects of lowering crown power. It's literally just a, this and this add up to 100%. That's all well and good. Levy size plus 56%. Market protection, which is another term that we have not yet seen, plus 28%, which is exactly half as well. So it gives access to 56% of the potential tax base of Kalmar. So if we go back up to this Swedish map here, obviously capital province is going to be at the maximum potential control. But even just going one location away, up further north into Uppsala, then we're getting into like a darker green than even like up here, because you got your rivers here, which is something I believe Or actually, no, that's not rivers. That's roads. I can't really zoom in any further. These are roads here, not rivers. And that's probably why we've got a better proximity or a better control, because the roads are helping proximity. I imagine we're probably going to get something to do with rivers, though it would have been nice to see rivers on this. And the reason I'm saying that these are roads is because this is basically the same as the map that we saw before. This one right here, these roads are the same. So I'm expecting this here to be roads, and that's why we've got a better communication, proximity, control, all of that stuff. That looks like what we're seeing there. So let's have a look at proximity. It is the distance to the capital value, where travelling on the open sea is extremely costly. Proximity is costly over land, but along coastlines when you have high maritime presence, you can keep a high proximity much further. Tracing proximity along major rivers, nice, reduces the proximity cost a fair bit, and if you build a road network, also so nice, it will further reduce the proximity cost. Okay, so this dev diary so far has confirmed so many things. Major rivers going to be more than just a -1 penalty in combat. Fantastic. Roads gonna be a thing that you can build. Fantastic. I'm just... I'm beyond hyped. I'm so happy. There are buildings you can build, like a bailiff that will act as a smaller proximity source. But that has the slight drawback of adding more nobles to location and will cost food for them as well. So if we go back up here and we imagine, let's say, we've got quite a lot less control over the Finland region of the Swedish country. So maybe you could build a bailiff in, say, for example, Turku, in Helsinki, and that would be a secondary source of proximity. Not as good as the capital, but a secondary source here would be pretty useful to get, this Finnish wasteland at this point. Not really a wasteland, marshland. So many lakes here, under control. Maybe build a bailiff up in the mountains by Norway as well would be a good idea. Oh, this is going to make every country play so much differently. This is going to make every country play so much differently, because just imagine it, right? You're in, say, England, and your primary focus, instead of just being, I'm a naval colonial power, blah, 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 you're going to have, like, this proximity based on your coastlines, right? All your coastlines are going to be very good proximity because you got the waterways, you got quite a lot of major rivers in England. You're going to be in a pretty good situation. Whereas if you are, let's say, playing as the Golden Horde, of course, you've got quite a lot of... you've got that large river going through Kyiv. I can't remember what that river is called. I should know it, but I can't. You've got that huge communication efficiency source, but the rest of it is just quite literally just flat plainlands. And then every country having a different distribution of... settlements to townships to cities. Germany is going to be crazy. How are you going to feed so many towns and cities? That's going to be so dense. Oh my god. Yeah, this brings so many implications. This game is not going to play like EU4 plays. There's so much more going on here. But anyway, let's talk about Maritime Presence. In every coastal location around your locations, that lovely sentence, or where you have special buildings, you have maritime presence. This slowly built up over time based on your ports and other buildings you have in adjacent locations. Okay, placing a navy in the location helps improve it quicker, but blockades and pirates will decrease it quickly, making it absolutely vital to protect your coastlines in a war, or you'll suffer the consequences for a long time. Okay, that's interesting. That makes me think navies are changing drastically. Because if we go back to this picture, right? Are we talking about if we have a navy stationed in this sea tile, we're going to get the maritime presence value up for, I guess it's the presence is on every sea tile. So if you get your maritime presence up here, it'll increase, or it'll make the proximity efficiency better for all of the coastal provinces, is kind of what I'm reading into this. Maritime presence impacts proximity calculations. It also impacts the power of your merchants in the market the sea zone is part of. Okay, market the sea zone is part of. That could, you basically, in EU4 terms, we're talking about trading zones, right? You're in the Ragusa node, you're in the Constantinople node, you're in the X node, Y node, whatever node. But if we have up here, making them likelier to belong to foreign markets makes me think that these trading zones, these trade nodes, are fluid. And yet again, that's super exciting. Oh, so happy, so happy. Okay. And then we have Gotland's Hav, or Jutland's Hav, which is, Hav is sea. So this is interesting that we have localized name for sea. Or maybe it's just this sea tile is named that. But we have here the markets, the Kingdom of Sweden's market and the Hanseatic League's market. What do we have here? Is this their maritime presence, perhaps? And this is their control? I don't know. What do we have here? Power of the merchants. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what all of these are going to be called, or each of these values may be. But I definitely think this one is control, because that looks like a fist with a very... No, it's not a fist at all. It's an anchor. It looked like a fist, so I thought control. So maybe it's not. Maybe it's maritime presence. They both have 100% maritime presence here. So I guess maritime presence doesn't compete with one another. Maybe it will if you're at war. But also, I have an inkling, I have an idea that we're actually not going to see navies work in the same way, because we have the idea of placing a navy into the location. Are we talking about in the same way as EU4, where you're just placing individual boats in places, or are we talking about navies in a different way entirely? I'm not sure. I'm not sure the answer to that, and I'm so excited to learn. But no, I'm just so good. Next week, we're going to be looking at the economy system, as well as features from older games. Interesting. What economic features from older games are you going to want to see in EU5? I'm super excited to hear your thoughts on this. Okay, obviously I do read all of the comments and implement them in future videos and talks and stuff. In a couple of days, I will go through and see if Johan goes on a huge spree of developer comments. He hasn't written any just yet, but I'm sure he will at some point. But yeah, other than that, I just want to say thanks for hanging out with me and talking about Tinto Talks with me. I will be streaming on YouTube tonight, because unfortunately my Twitch got hacked today and got permanently banned. I'm in the appeals process, but I don't know how long that's going to take. So if you could, show up for my YouTube stream, that would be super appreciated. I'd love to see you there. But yeah, no, I'm so blown away. I'm so happy. This is so much everything that I wanted. Thanks all for watching, and I'm going to go and be happy now. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.